What's up, everybody? This is Coach Jason coming to you live inside the rack. In this video, I'm going to go over some quick fixes for issues on the lower body if you failed some tests in my self-assessment. In the next video, I'm going to go over the upper body. Now, a couple key things before you do anything. If you failed lower body tests but passed all the upper body tests, you can go ahead and start working out the upper body. But I would stick to the exercises I'm going to show you in this video and the stretches for the lower body, and vice versa. So without further delay, let's go inside the rack. So the first thing we're going to do is just get the ankles loose. So we're just going to do some basic ankle circles. So you want to do about 10 in each direction, and you're going to do them with both feet. This is just going to loosen up the ankles. Then another thing that we can do is you can put your ankle on its side at a 45 and put a little bit of pressure on it. Now don't try to snap your ankle, just put some pressure on it, stretch out the tendons and ligaments. If you can go to the inside a little bit, you might feel this a little bit in your knees. But we need to loosen up them ankles. And anything you do on one leg, make sure you do it on the other leg. Now the next thing we need to determine is whether or not you have an improper motor engram pattern for bending over. So what does this mean? In simple terms, over time, have you taught yourself the wrong way to bend over and pick stuff up? So now your body has programmed this as the right way to do it. If you watch an infant or a toddler, they can squat down to their diaper, hit the floor, and pop right back up because they haven't learned any bad habits yet. So what we're going to do for this drill is you're going to stand up against a wall. I'm going to use the rack here. So you're going to put one heel up against the wall, and you're going to put the heel of your other foot against your toes, and then you're going to square your feet up so you're one of your foot lengths away from the wall. From here, I just want you to bend over like you're going to pick something up off the floor. When you do it, if your butt does not come in contact with the wall, then you probably have an improper engram in your motor pattern. So if you look like this and your butt is 3, 4, 6 inches away from the wall, you probably have an improper engram. If you can get your butt to touch, then at least you're teachable and there's not a whole bunch of other issues in the hips that we have to fix. But this is something you need to incorporate into your daily activities. When you pick stuff up, or anytime you bend over or sit on a chair, you need to start pushing your butt back to teach yourself the proper way to do it. So that's called a hip hinge mechanic. If you can properly hip hinge, then you just need to start doing it in your daily activities. If you can't, no matter how hard you try, get your butt to touch the wall, then probably your issue is that your hip flexors are really tight and we need to stretch them out. Now the reason your hip flexors are tight is you probably spend a lot of time sitting, either driving a car, sitting behind a desk at work, sitting on the couch at home. Even me, I stand 8 hours a day for my job. I umpire baseball where I stand another 3 hours a day. I'm training people, I'm doing my own training, so I'm actually on my feet a lot, and I have this issue. So it's not limited to just people that sit. But what you want to do is get on the edge of your bed, the edge of the couch. I usually do this on the couch. I'm going to do it on the bench here for you to demonstrate. But what you want to do is you're going to put one leg up on the edge, the other leg is on the floor. So my left foot is on the floor, my right foot, knee are up on the bench. You're going to post yourself up so you're nice and stable. Then what you want to do is push this hip all the way down. You want it to come in contact with the bench if you can. So you may have to lower your torso angle to get it down. You're gonna hang out there for a little while till you feel it loosen up. We're gonna do some yoga techniques. You're gonna breathe, relax, breathe, relax, let it sink in. Another thing that helps is if you flex your glutes. If you can flex your glutes, turning this muscle on turns this off, so it allows a deeper stretch. So if you can flex your glutes, see how I just dropped down even further? Once you get to a point where you're all the way down, then you can push your chest up a little bit more. I want you to do this for 2 minutes on each leg. To start out, I would do it twice a day if you have the time. So for the box squat test, the fix is actually really simple. You're gonna do box squats. The problem if you fail that test, most likely is a weakness in your quads, hamstrings, and glutes. We're gonna focus mainly on the quads, so the front of your legs. One tip I'm gonna give you before I go into it a little bit more is setting up your stance width and your toe angle. These are really important. Everybody's hips are built differently. So some people on YouTube will tell you your toes have to be out, your toes have to be straight, your stance has to be shoulder width, your stance has to be wider than shoulder width, your stance has to be narrower. Nobody knows, because nobody can see how the neck of your femur fits into the socket of your hip. It's just not possible. So you need to figure this out for yourself. And we're gonna do that with this simple test. So what you're gonna do is lay down. On the floor works the best. I'm gonna do it on the bench. You're gonna pull your knees to your chest. Then you're gonna hunt around and find a spot where your knees come the closest to your face comfortably without pain. So you're gonna pull your legs apart. See if you can get them closer. I can get them closer, but that hurts. So I'm gonna come in a little bit. Okay, right there. I have no pain. And then I'm gonna look down and I'm gonna check my toe angle. My toe angle is about 30 degrees. So from there, that's gonna be my stance width. So my stance width is gonna be about this far apart. Toes are angled out at about 30 degrees, and that's where I would do box squats from. So this is Patty doing box squats as part of her corrective exercises. This was actually her 5th set, so she was actually using dumbbells for the first 4 sets. You see how she has to lean over because she has such a short torso compared to her legs? And then from this front angle, notice how she pushes her knees out over her toes. So if you failed the X-axis test, that's the horizontal and across the front. So when you lifted one leg, your hips dumped. What that means is that you have a weak glute medius muscle. The glute medius keeps your pelvis level as you walk. So as you lift up your left leg, your glute medius on the right fires to keep balance. So if you have a weakness here, remember Jane Fonda back in the day? Those of you that are old enough, that's the first progression. So what you're gonna do is lay on your side, and we're just gonna do the Jane Fonda. So the key to this is the top leg, which is my right leg. You want to internally rotate your foot. So you want your toes pointed at the ground at a 45-degree angle. You can slightly bring that leg in front of the bottom leg, and then you're just gonna lift it up. You're gonna do this for reps. I'm guessing if you failed that test, that even doing 5 or 6 is gonna start burning severely in your hip. Once you can do probably 12 of these, 2 sets of 12, you can throw on some ankle weights. Another option, and this is what I use in my warm-up, is a hip circle. You can buy these on Amazon. They sell different brands of them. This is actually Mark Bell's hip circle, but it goes around just above the knees. So if I stand up, my kneecaps are right here. It's just above my knees. And all I'm gonna do, so it's working that muscle in the same way. The other thing you can do is shuffle to the side. So if I turn the bench out of the way so I can stand and go like this, I can actually go down my driveway and back, go across the garage and back, however you want to do it. A third option is to take a band. You're going to hear me talk about bands a lot on this channel, so I would look into investing in some bands. They're huge for different exercises. You can use them to do a lot of different things. You can also use them for warm-ups. We're going to double the band up, and you're just going to run it over your feet. You should have an X in the middle, so you got to twist it before you put it over the feet. And the same thing, you're just gonna Jane Fonda or the adductor machine. If you have access to a gym, you can use the abductor machine, and that's going to strengthen the glute medius. So if you have anterior pelvic tilt, there's a couple things we need to work on. The first thing is you're going to want to do that hip flexor stretch that I showed you a little earlier in the video. That's going to open up the front of your hips that are pulling your pelvis forward. The other thing you're going to want to do is strengthen your glutes and strengthen your hamstrings. So if you loosen up the front to allow your pelvis to rotate back to where it should be, and strengthen the glutes and the hamstrings, they'll pull your pelvis down in the back. So you'll loosen the front and tighten the back. So instead of being dumped forward, you'll loosen the front to come up and tighten the back to pull you down back to level. So what you're going to do to tighten up the glutes, to strengthen the glutes, we're just going to start with a basic body weight exercise called a donkey kickback. So you're going to start out in a 4-point stance on your hands and knees. You're just going to kick your leg out behind you. You want it to get slightly above parallel, as you can see she's doing here, and make sure you're squeezing your butt really hard. Now to strengthen the hamstrings, you can either use a hamstring curl machine at the gym. If you're not at the gym yet and you're just at home, what you could do is put your feet underneath the edge of the couch, bed, toolbox, whatever you got. I'm using a barbell, but you pin your heels underneath the bar, bench, bed, whatever it is. I'll show you a little different angle in a minute. And then you're just going to use your body weight to come forward, fall down, push yourself, and then pull. So you're pulling with your hamstrings. Hamstrings are the bicep muscle on the back of your leg between your knee and your butt. Now, you don't need to go all the way down and all the way up. You're probably not going to be strong enough to do that to start. I've been training for years now. I'm still not strong enough to do that. So go as far as you can under control, and then fall, and then do a push-up, and then pull yourself back up. So from a side angle, the key thing, my heels are underneath the bar. I got pillows holding my feet up to wedge underneath the bar. Now my head's gonna come out of frame as I do this. But one thing you want to pay attention to, you see how the stripe on my shirt is straight? Right now you have this issue that you're dumped forward. So now I have a curve in the stripe in my shirt. You want to squeeze your glutes to pull your hips so everything's stacked. You want your hips to be level. So back, front, see right there, my hips are level. That's what you want. And then you're going to go forward till you can't hold it anymore. And then fall, and then pull yourself back up. If you need to do the pulses, it'll look like this: forward, back, forward, back. This is called the Nordic hamstring curl. If you have access to a hamstring curl machine at your gym, go ahead and use that. If you're doing the home version of this, then you're gonna have to do something like this. I'm using a barbell. If you happen to use a barbell, make sure you put a weight underneath the plates. Otherwise, when you do it, it's gonna roll forward. So you gotta chalk the wheels. So like I said at the beginning, in the next video, I'm gonna go over some corrective exercises and stretches for the upper body if you failed any of those tests. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you see when that video comes out. Until next time, this is Coach Jason coming to you live inside the rack.